What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 4 of Hell's Paradise. We're going to be going full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you've watched the episode. We're going to do a real quick recap. A lot of things were established in this episode when it comes to characters. We'll not be going into those details. We can talk about that when we talk about our impressions. But basically, we got some background on Tamiya and his executioner, who's a little creepy guy who likes to dissect things, talking about how their clan does more than just beheadings, but also does like stuff with medicine, and he mentioned a couple other things too. I forgot, but anyway, we got a little bit of background on them. Then we go to the situation that happened in the last episode, where all these insects, monsters are showing up, and Gabimaru is he gets attacked by them. He goes to attack them back. He remembers one of the things he learned through, being a ninja is you don't fight somebody who you don't know what they're capable of. So he's starting to think if he should run, whether he should leave behind. I forgot her name. Do you remember? But he decides to fight, and he starts taking out everything. He kills a fish Buddha monster thing. He kills all these giants by grabbing their throats and blowing them out. Pretty crazy stuff. And ends up saving, I am really upset I can't remember her name, his executioner. While that happens, the purple-haired ninja girl shows up, saves them, and they start talking. She has 2 executioners with her because she apparently seduced one of the other criminals who one of these executioners was an executioner of, and kind of used that guy as a way to figure out information of the island, how the butterflies work, how what was she talking about? Something about the insects eat dead flesh or something?
The caterpillar one, or centipede ones only eat dead flesh.
So she essentially used another criminal as a way to figure things out through her powers of seduction. As we find out, she tries to use on Gabimaru, and he is not susceptible to those. As they talk, she tries to get flirtatious with him. He subdues her by putting her in an arm lock multiple times, like 4 different times. And at one point, when they're talking, she shows that she's capable of reversing some of that stuff as well, where she's able to kick out his feet. And anyway, they talk. They find out about what happened with that other criminal, why she has 2 executioners. One of the guys decided to come with them when he found out that she could just seduce that guy and kill him. And he was like, she probably needs 2 executioners to watch her if she's that dangerous. They exchange information, some of the information that she found out on the island about the things that are coming after them now on the island. And she wants to work together with Gabimaru to get as far as they can on this island. Of course, Gabimaru doesn't trust her, asks why she would even want to do that, and she kind of makes it pretty clear that only one of them can leave the island, but they should use each other's abilities to get as far as they can, and possibly eventually betray one another. So yeah, we got 2 ninjas of different clans. She also tries to lie to him a couple times too. I thought it was funny, and he's just like, "You're lying." Like he's just not susceptible to any of the bullshit she's trying to pull, which I thought was actually a fun conversation between the 2 because she's using every trick she knows. She probably knows more, but Gabimaru is up to date on what she's capable of. We get an interesting sidestep into 2 characters, one that's been established already and one is being established in this episode, Chobe and Toma. Was that his name? Who are brothers, grew up under a samurai family, but end up becoming bandits as children. Toma looks up to Chobe as he makes decisions. He's the more powerful of the 2. And Chobe kind of went down the criminal lifestyle, got captured. Seems like Toma was able to get into the shogunate. That's because he's
the executioners.
Yeah. And joined that to essentially work with Chobe to try and get him out. And now Toma is Chobe's executioner. and they're working together on the island, which I actually thought was kind of an interesting thing that they're introducing to the story as all these people have showed up on this island. The dynamics have been changing, and we're seeing, and they say this in the episode, who's strong, who's weak, who's going to survive, and who's not going to make it. And to see these different dynamics of somebody with two executioners, Gabimaru, who's just OP, and then this Chobe dude who is with his brother, so there's some stakes there. And they're going to work together to get the elixir of life for themselves. So we're getting some really interesting ambitions from different characters. They get into a fight. The fight kind of is more of a way to kind of show their dynamic. Toma looks up to Chobe. Chobe is kind of a wild dude, as we've seen in prior episodes, and he's definitely capable as he's killing a bunch of monsters. And even though Toma seems to be, more of his little brother, looks up to him, he's capable as well. In one scene, one of the monsters grabs Toma's hair. He looks to Chobe. Chobe runs, making it seem like Chobe's going to leave him, but he's able to cut the monster himself. But then Chobe comes back and starts killing things. As he says, he's going to find a weapon. He bought him time to grab a weapon and fight back. And we get their ambitions and what they're going to do, and they're going to kill everybody on the island and get the elixir of life and do their own thing. I think that's basically everything that happens in this episode. There's a lot going on, and it seems like this episode was more so to introduce in more detail characters on the island, which I appreciated, because we do have all these different characters that I'm like, I don't even know that person's name. And so now we're starting to get some of their motivation. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, the episode definitely makes sense to keep introducing stuff, just because, like, episode, I think it was 2, we're introduced to, like, 10 characters.
Yeah.
And some of those characters are no longer with us already, which is fortunate, because that's a lot of, I can't remember the names of the people we have now. So, but they are fleshing out the ones that are obviously going to be here longer than others. How long, who knows? Obviously, this is a very like battle royale situation where there can only be one. So, and the whole vibe of the show kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
That anyways, with a lot of like people, some people are just ready to be solo and just kill whoever. Other people are ready to team up. Other people already knew each other, type of things. So it's interesting to see all these different relationships, the dynamics and motivations and stuff like that. It also allows you to get, not necessarily attached like, oh, I love this character, but like, them, and then the motivations, and then when they fight, it'll have a little more meaning when they run into each other, because you'll know where everyone's coming from at that point. So
it's kind of crazy how much, and I said this in the first or second episode, that this is kind of reminding me of Battle Royale, because people are being forced on an island to have an objective and eliminate each other, essentially. And this is definitely playing out like that, but now we are starting to see different dynamics, something that also happened in Battle Royale, where some people start working together, some people start forming posses or groups, some people started like, trying to assassinate people, kill themselves, stuff like that. And so it has definitely a similar vibe to it, which I like, outside of the supernatural element, the elixir of life part, and that they don't have collars that blow up, but they have a executioner that will take them out if they try to escape or break the rules or whatever.
Yeah, well, and then the whole like the Buddhist and Taoist style creatures,
the deities,
yeah, they kind of serve as a, not exactly one for one, obviously, but they kind of serve as like the sectors, or the ring closing in, basically.
Yeah.
For these people, because even in the old school battle royale movie, like sectors became unavailable to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like giving that vibe too, where well, this this spot is no longer safe. Survive and move on, or this is it. So
yeah, it's interesting.
It is. Yeah, it definitely feels like a battle royale story, which is interesting.
It's definitely. I mean, it's got to be inspired
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, the fighting was, it was fine. It definitely was served more to give you something to look at while people were having conversations. Mm-hmm. Though it also kind of shows, it means to show people's strength too. So we see just how ridiculous like Gabimaru is, and like how the Konoichi, she can just be so aloof, but there's confidence there because she also, knows her trade so well, and she could just use other people as meat shields basically by seducing them and convincing them to protect her. Like the second executioner she got, who he thinks she's dangerous, but as it was kind of like alluded to with Gabby Morrow, like you got seduced, like we get it, like so, kind of interesting. And then with the brothers, that's more of like a what's that called? Reliance on each other, type of system or whatever from the beginning. So versus like forming a relationship, in the midst of battle. So a lot of interesting stuff going on. I still like, the show's kind of in this weird, like, I don't really know where we're going stage. But I am intrigued still. I do think the character design's cool. The enemies are cool. The whole premise of the island is cool. And I don't need it to necessarily have a bunch of fight scenes. I just had that conception going into it. If it's mostly story, that's fine. But I need like some push forward here soon, I think. But otherwise, it was a good episode. I liked it.
Yeah, the first couple episodes, the pacing was really good. It was getting us going or whatever. And then the last episode kind of felt like it was kind of flopping around a bit. Felt a little broken in a couple scenes when it came to the fight scenes. And this episode definitely is better than the last episode. I like it.
No off screening.
Yeah, it was. It was a more precise and honed in episode, but still a lot of stuff. It's still, and I don't mean to say bloated in a negative way, but this episode had a lot of shit going on when it came to characters, their backgrounds, which I appreciated. But I was like trying to keep up with like, okay, Tommy has something about dragon, cutting a mansion in half, and then like, okay, this. I actually appreciated the Chobe and Toma part of the episode because they spent like half the episode getting into it, and it's pretty straightforward. This is a pretty typical storyline for characters, especially in anime, of like two siblings who went through a lot of shit when they're younger, only having themselves to look out for. Kind of reminds me of those the two demons in Demon Slayer from last season. So that's cool, and I actually kind of liked this. My two favorite parts of this episode was the Chobe and Toma part because it's offering something a little more interesting story-wise, that these guys aren't even necessarily here to play the game. It's not a game, but they're not here to do what they're supposed to be here to do, because he does have his executioner working with him, and so they have different ambitions. So that'll be a really interesting thing to see moving forward. And then I did like the conversation between Gabby Maru and I don't know her name, but the other ninja.
Mikunoichi,
I thought that was a lot of fun because we had two different kinds of ninjas talking.
It's like
with different techniques and
two sides of a similar coin.
And like Gabby Morrow, they're both assassin types, but like Gabby Morrow seems like more of an assassin type, and the other one seems to be more on the information gathering, seduction, espionage style ninja stuff, which I thought was a lot of fun. You don't really get a whole lot of instances in anything where you have different types of ninjas not trusting each other. That's an interesting dynamic. I'm hoping they utilize well moving forward in the show, because that will be a lot of fun where they can't trust each other. And she's a fun character, so I kind of like that. I am curious to see what happens with her executioners. Having 3 samurai in one area is kind of interesting. I feel like that'll allow for some fodder later, because we barely got an introduction to that little short guy. He went to talk and was interrupted. So,
though it did give a rank when the autopsy guy and the bigger executioner, the one that was seduced supposedly, they had ranks when they were introduced. I don't remember if the shorter guy did because he was interrupted, but the other two, it almost like added an element of importantness to him. But of course, so that eye patch guy was apparently important too. But
this show's definitely showing that people are expendable. So I don't know what to think yet. I do feel like we're starting, like in this episode, seeing some characters that will be sticking around for a little bit, though, especially with the criminals. I feel like Chobe and Toma are going to be around for a little bit until one of them dies, and the other one's going to get pissed about it. But I feel like we're starting to get some more established characters. I'll be curious to see what other criminals are still around on the island. But yeah, overall, it was a better episode than the last episode. I'm not in love with what's happening in the show so far, but I'm still interested in the concept and the mystery of the island. So I definitely want to keep watching the show. And
Could be a slow burner too.
see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I need to review it, but like I watched Vinland Saga, and the whole time I was like, who am I supposed to like in this show? Like the only reason I was watching, I was like, I like the historical aspect of it. I was like, this is kind of neat. Like, it's about, stuff that actually happened. But then like episode 14 happened. I'm like, oh shit, things are getting good. And by the last episode, I'm giving you guys a slight review right now. By like the last episode, what happens, I was like, I audibly was like, holy shit. And like, I was just hooked. So 14 episodes in, that's a pretty rough sit to wait for something to happen, but it was worth it.
I mean, Trigun, you can check out our full, opinion on that here on the channel, but the last episode really made the show.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So this might be that, or it might not be. But it, and I said this in the last review as well. But it's kind of nice to have a little more nuanced of an opinion with an anime so far, because like with Demon Slayer, so every episode I was like, that was great, that was great, I liked that. It's just they got their recipe down for that show, and it works really well on a lot of people, it seems. But this show, I'm like, I like this, but that could be better. This is interesting. I'm not sure what the hell they're doing with it, though. The combat isn't that great, but it's not the worst either, unless they cut things. I hate that. But cut things by, the scene. It just isn't there. We just jump to the end of the fight. I hate that. But yeah, this episode was better. And I'm definitely interested to see where things are going. And now that we are establishing some more of the criminals that seem like they might be around for a couple more episodes at the very least, the show can finally, I think, move forward where we can get the story rolling out and not just establishing people in the island. So, yeah, it was a cool episode.
Mm-hmm.
And looking forward to more.
Agreed.
Anything else?
I think that's about it.
Shout out to the scene where the little weird guy went to slice at the big Tamiya dude, and there's this interesting visual. This show's got a lot of really interesting
cool
visuals.
Imagery.
There's even a scene where somebody was like talking on like an old timey radio sounding thing, and in the background was like black and white and looked like film while the guy was sitting there. So the show's got a lot of really cool visuals. But yeah, he sliced at the dude to kind of let him know that he's willing to kill him. And when he sliced, you saw his face split in half, but then he's fine after that, and it's kind of showing like the intention. Yeah. Like, I'll slice your face right in half, I don't care. And then there's a nice little touch too where the guy got sliced at, and then he just cut his rope off with his sword and just moved on. So that was a nice little touch.
Also, they zoomed in on someone's eye. I can't remember who now, but the detail in that person's eye was insane, man.
Yeah, wasn't that the Gabby Mars executioner?
I think so.
Yeah,
it was just. It's been pretty big in anime for a while now, but like close-ups of like Chainsaw Man's eyes are insane, for example. And then I keep seeing clips of like Oshinokyo, Koyo or whatever it's called. I haven't watched it yet, but the eyes in that are insane. So, but yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. The show definitely has a lot of cool stylized things they're doing. So, yeah. Anything else you want to say on it?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think about episode 4 of Hell's Paradise. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What stood out to you? What things maybe did we not talk about in the episode? There's a lot, so I get it. Do you want to talk about? Bring it up in the comments. We can talk about it. And are you looking forward to the next episode? What do you think about the show so far and where it's going? If you've read the manga, if there's a manga, I assume there is. We haven't, so don't come to us from that perspective. But if you're just watching the show, let me know your thoughts so far with the pacing, trajectory. Do you think they're handling it well? Even if you have read the manga, how do you think they're handling it without spoilers? Let me know about everything you're thinking about when it comes to Hell's Paradise. I've been Seth, this has been Chevy. Look out for our Demon Slayer review. We just did that. I did a Evil Dead Rise review. Did a movie review, so check that out. And our Suzume review will be coming out finally as well. So plenty of stuff to watch. Look out for those. Look out for future episodes. And we will talk to you guys later.